Right. Hello, welcome to Club IDIC. Tonight, we are going to be watching Shadows of Pajem from Star Trek Enterprise. And we are going to be discussing Unreasonable Judgment. Please enjoy this meeting.
Hello.
Hello.
Don't it look scary here?
No.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm okay for the most part. Some things happening in my life. I don't want to go into it because we're being recorded.
We can talk about it later.
Fair enough.
If you want.
So how have you been?
Well, I'm hanging in there. But you know, life goes on. I've got work and I've got school starting up again for another semester on Monday. So I kind of have to go on. I can't stop.
Yes, Frodo would want it that way.
Yeah, it's just hard. I had him since he was 6 weeks old, and it's just hard.
Whoa. It's hard not seeing me for a month.
You look good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I have never seen this episode, but I gather it's about individuals making unreasonable judgments about each other based on limited information.
This will be you first.
And individuals trying to destroy each other and each other's reputations based on limited incorrect information and assumptions.
Yeah, I see that all the time in the cosplay scene. It's like somebody says, oh, this person did this person did that, this one said that one said this. Like I said, it gives me half a mind to quit.
Yeah, it's much too easy to think badly of someone rather than investigate into the truth. It's easier to just think badly of someone and throw them out of your life in your social circle than actually look at the truth and see the good in people.
I know it's easy to look for a scapegoat and blame everything on them.
It's easier to hate someone who's a little different rather than get to know them and see the beauty in who they truly are.
Indeed.
Yeah. And
I've seen people, Heather, get mistaken for being bad guys. Well, like let's just say like certain of maybe a few of the people involved in the convention scene. No, they come from like I don't know how to put this, like populations that are neurodivergent, and they can't seem to integrate. Some of them can't seem to integrate with the neurotypical community.
No, they can't.
And they get chastised for that. Like, oh no, this the bad guy. This the one we got to look out for.
That's exactly.
I know somebody who he thought he was like a total whatever curse word because he supposedly touched a cosplay girl. But then we find out, okay, he's autistic. He doesn't really understand that you're supposed to keep your hands to yourself. So after being blacklisted for 5 years, we figure he's not a threat. He's just pathetic. What do you make of that?
Well, I think pathetic's a bad word. I think in need of education is a better word. Because autistic people aren't pathetic, they're in need of education, and most autistic people are teachable.
Okay, point taken.
But that's just my opinion. You may not have had many experiences with autistic people, and I have. So, having lived it.
As I am aware.
And having been called every swear word in the alphabet book of swear words for my disability.
Even some they just invented a minute ago, I wager.
That's probably true, but you know, unreasonable judgments is being unwilling to put yourself in that person's shoes and being unwilling to really research disabilities and think about what is that person going through living in the skin of one who's living in the skin of one who has a disability. What are they having to experience? Like maybe researching what a disability is, the symptoms that people go through, the struggles.
Who has time or enough sympathy for that?
Not many, I wager. There's the information out there, but people are too lazy or too uncompassionate to pick up a book or look on the internet. They just think people who have these struggles are just weird, and they say, oh, you're unwelcome to be around me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an unreasonable judgment, because it's perfectly reasonable for people with differences to exist in public. I mean, there was a time that they were all locked away in group homes. There's still that time. People with disabilities are still locked away in group homes, and it's very unreasonable. Some of them need them because there are some who simply can't function without the assistance of caregivers, but there are a lot who can function without the assistance of caregivers. And there are a lot who can be successful if given the opportunity and the patience to be.
A funny thing that happened to me one time, where I think it was the same person I mentioned earlier. He went to an outdoor event I was photographing at, and people thought I was his care worker.
You have the cojones for it.
At that time, I used to work at an insane asylum, and I had to quit that job because it's just too damn dangerous to be around those people.
I don't think you know the difference between an asylum and a group home.
Well,
There's a difference.
But okay, well, I was not in a group home, I was in the insane asylum.
I know, but a group home is reasonably like, you know, people with disabilities who struggle with daily tasks and stuff, who need supervision. An insane asylum is usually for like those who are just criminally insane. There's a difference.
Go on.
Those who are in group homes usually are not dangerous like those in asylums are. I mean, there's a difference. Like people who live in group homes just need the extra supervision because they lack brain capacity to be able to make enough independent decisions where they can live on their own safely.
Yeah, but I'll wager wager this. Half of them are in group homes, and the other half are probably still residing with their parents.
Not necessarily, because their parents made unreasonable judgments and either kicked them out or kicked them into situations that are very unsafe. And half of them are homeless, half of them are suffering, or half of them are living with people who they think are friends and are in fact using them for their disability checks.
Oh, not cool, not cool.
No, it's not, but it's a reality. And a lot of them are living in shelters, struggling for food and drink. And some of them are even into drugs. You know that some of them are sorry. Some of them are even into drugs that make their disabilities even worse to cope. They struggle to cope because they can't afford their meds.
Yeah, if you want to see that in practice, come check out a New York City subway train sometime.
And it's quite sad because, mental health services are overwhelmed. They don't have the money to take care of all the people in need because the government won't give them the funding, because they don't view that part of society is worth caring for. And the police are overwhelmed because they don't know how to approach individuals with mental health issues. So they make unreasonable judgments. And more often than not, those with mental health issues end up the victims of police shootings. And that's the grim reality. I'm sorry to paint such a grim picture, but it's reality.
Were you watching New York City news today by any chance?
No.
Because we had something like that happen today, as a matter of fact. Some emotionally disturbed man waving a knife around. Police tell him put the knife down. The guy wouldn't comply. So the NYPD turned him into Swiss cheese.
Probably schizophrenic or bipolar or something similar, off his meds and unable to afford them.
And then there's some people who just don't take them, even when they're recommended or even given the medication.
Because they don't have the supervision or the reminder. They're left on their own when they shouldn't be, because there's not enough space for them in a supervised facility.
Well, right over here, can't force people to get treatment.
No, you can't. But there's also the need to remember to care. And a lot of people don't do that because they say, oh, it's not my problem. Why should I give a crap? And that's an unreasonable judgment. This is why people need to go to school or at least volunteer in places so there's enough manpower so that more places can be open to care for those who can't care for themselves.
But I did learn one thing from my asylum experience, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not cut out to be a prison guard.
No, you're too sweet.
Yeah, and people trying to jump me to take my keys and make a break for it. That actually did happen.
Yeah, you wouldn't hurt a fly.
I would.
You're not capable of that, hurting
Flies
anyone.
are horrible little winged abominations of evil.
You're not capable of hurting anybody, even in self-defense. No, you're not. You're a teddy bear.
What? You said I wouldn't hurt a fly? I would hurt a fly.
You're just you're just a teddy bear.
Okay.
But
is that how you see me?
What?
Is that how you see me, as a stuffed animal with a painted smile and button eyes?
Well, your glasses do resemble buttons. They're cute. What was that?
What, this?
Uh-huh. Were you catching flies?
Oh, okay. Where's our third person?
I don't know. But
I sound, by the way.
what?
Remember, you thought you were a little concerned about me based on one of our previous conversations?
Uh-huh.
So are you still worried about me now?
Always.
Okay.
But, people look at other people, and when something bad happens, those who struggle and those who experience struggles are always the first that are blamed simply because they stand out. It's easy to blame those who stand out rather than look at the true root of the cause. And that's what happened here based on the research I did on this episode. And I have
Okay then. So this will be fun. We're gonna I guess a little 3 more minutes of banter, then dive right into this episode, see how much of it matches up with what you were thinking.
Well, from what I've researched, it draws a parallel a bit to Broken Bow, where everybody's accusing those who they think held back research.
Yeah. And a farmer chasing a Klingon with a shotgun.
Well, here's the thing. From what I gather, Like the Starfleet's blaming the Vulcans, basically saying, oh, the Vulcans held back research. They're covert in their research. They're not telling us anything, and this is their fault. Why are we still hanging around them? They're bad news. We need to get rid of them. Get them away from us. They're bad. Just because they're a little different in how they conduct themselves.
Well, you know that they got rid of the Vulcan High Command by the end of Enterprise.
Maybe that was a mistake.
Like, and I won't go into Picard here.
Well, Starfleet, you know, it has a tendency to push other people out of the way to get what they want. And other species around and assert dominance. Maybe it's just the wrong thing. We shouldn't be pushing each other around to get what we want. We should find a way to work together to get some sort of common goal where everybody can be happy. I mean, what right did Starfleet have to push the Vulcan High Command out of the way? I mean, they didn't have the right. The Vulcan High Command had reasons for doing things in a covert way.
Well, methinks thou needest to watcheth more episodes of Enterprise to fully comprehend what I'm telling you.
I mean, let's look at Discovery for a minute. Like, why do you think that the Federation wasn't trusted by that time period? Because they were too busy pushing people out of the way, and they caused one of the greatest catastrophes known to people kind and alien kind by that time period.
Oh, Discovery season 1, really?
Discovery further than that. Like, they literally caused chaos, and Navarre hated their guts. Yes, I watched it.
Okay.
But it's like, really, maybe Starfleet and the Federation should have literally just slowed down, listened to what they had to say instead of just pushing and insisting that they had all the answers.
So would this put a damper on your plans to join Starfleet?
Well, I'm in Star Trek Online on Starfleet's side, so obviously not.
Okay.
I don't know if you play Star Trek Online. Oh, you should. It's interesting.
Well, like I think I told you earlier, I moved recently.
Yeah.
Still trying to get stuff set up here.
Yeah, you should.
Can't see where here is.
You should try it. It's fun. It's funner than I thought it would be. It's actually therapeutic. But seeing as I haven't seen Shadows of Pajem and you have, I'm at a bit of a disadvantage, which I hope to correct by watching it. Shall we get to it? I don't think anybody else is coming.
Oh, well. All right, let's dive in. Let me mute this thing first.
See you in an hour. Bye. See you in an hour.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, the first thing I noticed, the evolution of the relationship between Captain Archer and T'Pol. Like, I remember in Broken Bow, I believe he threatened to knock her on her butt in Broken Bow. And then in Shadows of Pajem, he's literally telling another Vulcan, you're being unreasonable about how you're treating her. She deserves to stay here and work with me, and she doesn't deserve to be segregated with the rest of the Vulcans. So you need to change your judgment. You're being an unreasonable idiot, and I need to keep her. She's a good friend. And I feel that she'll learn more here, she'll grow more here. And literally, it's so amazing how a relationship can evolve, and Captain Archer has actually come to appreciate T'Pol, and it's actually interesting that T'Pol used to not care about humans at all, but she actually lied to save Captain Archer's life in this episode, when she couldn't care less about humans at the beginning of her service with Enterprise.
Yeah, I think you liked this episode.
I did. I found it very interesting. Like, she literally said, oh, he's a steward. And she pretty much took over the conversation when she could tell he was failing at trying to handle the situation. She's like, oh, I'm going to take this over. I'm going to save your life. You're going to get us both killed if you keep speaking. So I'm just going to take this over and make a reasonable judgment based on what I'm seeing. And it succeeded. They left them alone. And he's like, you said I'm a steward? And he didn't really say thank you. He was complaining. And it's like, really? She saved your life, dude, and you're complaining about how she saved your life? She lied.
Yeah. And also talking about the whole disinformation thing, that almost got them killed. You know, like, why didn't the Vulcans let them know that that planet had a civil war going on?
Well, Vulcans are as good at withholding information as Cardassians, I think. They only release what information that benefits them, and if it doesn't benefit them to release information, they don't do it, even if it causes trouble for others.
Yes, and them trying to, and the whole thing with the Andorians trying to make up for the spy post.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm starting to understand why there's a bunch of shippers saying that Archer and Shran belong together, because of all of a sudden Shran pops out of nowhere when he hears Archer is in trouble, and he said, you know what? All I needed was a good sleep or something like that. Oh, he needed
a good night's
sleep.
All
right.
Telling about the listening post on Pajem.
He needed a good sleep, all right. With who? He just wanted to see Archer again. That's what he wanted.
Like, you better not be thinking about a wedding right now.
They should have. They really should have. But seriously, though, this was a good episode. Like, honestly,
I'm glad I ended up picking it after all.
I am glad you picked it, but it's like even Archer like took T'Pol down to the planet alone to spend time with her before she left. That's how much she was valued to him and by him, and she accepted this. Like, can you imagine them like actually spending time alone together now? They literally were not willing to do that when they first met. They were at odds.
Well, a little Enterprise spoiler. In the last season, T'Pol gets the boot from the Vulcan military. And then he got her as a permanent Enterprise crew member. Mm-hmm. With a jumpsuit with the Enterprise patch on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Well, because she sacrificed so much for the Enterprise, she pretty much crosses the Vulcan high command so many times. So I would expect that they'd be like, okay, you choose them over us all the time, have at it. Go join the humans. And she's not even fully human herself, if I understand that correctly. And she ends up drugging herself with Trillium D to experience emotions, and she does it so much that she permanently damages herself.
Cocaine's one heck of a drug, huh?
Yeah, and then she enters into a relationship with Commander Tucker later, so she really must like humans a lot.
Okay, and one thing I remember now also, when the episodes originally aired on broadcast television, like all the TV adverts for Enterprise episodes, half the time they always had some kind of sexual innuendo in the episodes. Even though you tune in, what's this got to do with the commercial? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know what happens to Tucker in the end, but I also wonder in the end if she ends up with Archer, because in the last episode, and everybody says it's a holodeck, but people can take it as canon too. I wonder if they do end up together in memory of Trip.
Because the thing, Heather, about how season 4 ended, it was a dumpster fire. Basically, it just had to work up a last minute ending.
Yeah.
They had like just when the show was getting good, the network decided to cancel it. No, in spite of the viewers. So they put together this stupid little ending. Oh, this is all a dream. None of this ever happened. This is Riker's imagination.
Well, I remember like a Q&A, I asked Connor in a Q&A once, and he said, Trip's dead.
Yeah, but like I said, I hate how they ended it. It's like, I know it's just after they did the Mirror Universe miniseries.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, come on, they had plans for season 5.
I know T'Pol was going to be revealed to be half Romulan, I believe, according to what.
And they were going to make the Enterprise look like the Constitution class Enterprise.
Yes, that's really cool, actually.
Too bad we never got to see it. And I hate when it's like, have you ever been to let me ask you, have you ever been to temple service where you were following whatever was laid out in the pamphlet, and then all of a sudden the high priest decides, no, something came up, we're gonna do this instead?
I'm not sure.
Has that ever happened to you?
No.
But in keeping with tonight's
like
theme,
in COVID, like you mean as far as COVID changes, they made those changes like, I guess before they reopened the Mormon temples, they made those changes before they reopened the Mormon temples during COVID and the isolations.
I was just thinking in general, just for your reference, pre-COVID.
No. Nope, they didn't. They changed a lot of things after the lockdowns to minimize people touching each other, touching hands, and other symbolic things to avoid. Yeah, because they didn't want people getting COVID and getting sick. And that's all I can, yeah, because it's very sacred worship experiences, and that's basically all I can say. Just they wanted to minimize people touching hands and stuff, and yeah. And I suppose, the hand symbolic thing, that the whole concept of hand symbols and things, I guess is where the Vulcan salute even came from, right? Because it was actually a Jewish thing.
Vulcan salute, Nimoy with little boy, look at the priest doing this.
Nimoy was Jewish.
Hands. He wasn't supposed to be looking, but he's like little boy, he's looking at the priest. And then he just like dropped one hand, had him do this as a salute. Yeah,
Nimoy was Jewish, and he wanted, and this is a Vulcan kissing symbol, right? And this is how Amanda and Sarek kissed in TOS, by touching their fingers like this.
Yeah, so I reckon when you go to temple next week, I'd be like, yes, man.
Oh, I don't go every week, but you know what? I don't know if you watched the Mormon General Conference. We actually just recently got a temple announced for my city. So
I heard you posted.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier to go in about 4 years when the temple is built.
Oh, so what? They just had the groundbreaking ceremony?
They haven't even had that yet, but I don't know where I'm going to be in 4 years. So
who does?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll be in this city or a bigger city. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't intend to stay in one place forever. Like this place.
Why? Is it like
what? But I mean,
I'm trying to make the sound of crickets.
I don't know. We'll just see where I end up. I have plans of my own. But anyway, yeah, everybody has plans, and it's conflicting plans that led to the chaos of the rescue, right? Like,
Yeah.
Trip and Malcolm had their own plan, and they were carrying it out quite well with their Andorian
Yeah, and
patriots, and then all of a
the
sudden,
Vulcan tactical unit comes in, and both of those idiots are shooting at each other. And hello, there are two hostages here.
all of a sudden, like, the Vulcans waltzed in and started shooting, which I don't get why they couldn't have talked to each other and say, hey, why don't you Vulcans provide cover for us while we go get the hostages? It's like,
Yeah, remember that's the
people's
same thing Malcolm was saying. Oh, let's
Yeah.
lead an assault unit to go get Archer. And the Vulcan was like, oh, we would leave this in our hands. And they send in a tactical unit. And then Jeffrey Combs is like, ugh. Upteenth time he's played an alien in Star Trek.
Yeah, that reminds me of something. I'm actually thinking of Strange New Worlds now.
Season 2 is coming out this summer.
I think that's wonderful.
Like, what's today? April 14th, so about 2 more months.
I know, but I'm remembering something that Captain Pike said. I just have to look it up because I can't remember the exact thing. It was when he was speaking on Kylie.
What, for the pilot episode?
Yes. It was about how conflicting ideas, like the competing ideas, the Vulcans and the humans had competing ideas of how to achieve liberty for Captain Archer and T'Pol, and they created chaos and things were blown up, and they could have inadvertently killed Captain Archer and T'Pol as they were exercising these competing ideas, and they should have been working together. I mean, they should have just worked together to create this plan instead of risking the lives of the people they were trying to save.
Yeah, I was like, we can put this to the side, please. We got people to save. But yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be a recurring theme from Enterprise. Why are the Vulcans not being straightforward with the humans?
Yeah, that's true. It's like, but I think there was a lot of anger with the Vulcans because Forrest was basically blaming the Vulcans for Pajem's destruction, saying the Vulcans were partially to blame because they were using it to spy, and the Vulcans weren't being open with Starfleet. And the Vulcans, as much as they say they weren't offended, they probably were, and they're thinking, who does Starfleet think they are for saying this when they are the inferior species? They don't have the brain capacity or the social capacity or the intellectual capacity. They don't understand the way they do things, and they're yelling at us.
Yeah. Remember, heck, just to cross-reference, remember Star Trek First Contact? How the Vulcans, they've known about, they even touched on this in Enterprise, how the Vulcans have known about Earth and how they just chose to ignore Earth because those hominids
Too primitive.
are too primitive. And then they're like, oh, whoa, what the heck? These things got warp drive now?
Yes. And it's like, really, it's amazing.
I don't know. Not like, it's like, okay, I know I'm going somewhere where it's just unholy. But suppose you were walking around, you saw the Frodo people, and okay, they're four-legged, they're furry, they just walk around here doing Frodo things. And then you see one build a car and drive circles around you. And then they talk to you and said, I want to go hang out with you. What would you say?
Well, I've tried very hard not to be afraid of individuals that are different than me because I've been treated poorly for being different than other people. So what would I say? What do you think I'd say? I'd be open for it.
And don't ask me how I come up with these things. They just happen.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm very intrigued because it's a good question, but you know my answer. What would your answer be?
Okay, so I see what basically the Archer.
Don't sidestep.
would be like, I don't trust this talking dog to fly a ship.
Really.
I would be like, okay, show me what you got. And yes, me using your dearly departed as an example.
Oh, that's fine. That's actually very cute. I can imagine Frodo being very happy wherever he is, you know? He's probably with like, well, I had this older dog that when Frodo was a puppy, she was a very orphan dog that my dad's boss found this other dog on the side of the road, and my dad had ended up bringing her home, and we called her Sophie, and Frodo was just a baby then, but we called them brother and sister, so he's probably with her.
Oh, okay.
She died of a heart attack on a Mother's Day weekend when I was younger, and it was very traumatic because I saw it happen. But they're together, probably. And they might be with my dad and my grandparents. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, happy. But I mean, why does everybody have to spy on each other? I mean, but it's very weird. At first, Admiral Forrest is angry about the Vulcans' decision to spy on them, but later in the episode, he admits he's in agreement with the Vulcans' decision to spy. And it's very confusing. Like 1 minute Starfleet is angry about something happening, and then the next moment, oh, there's a reason they did this, so I guess we can't be too mad.
Yeah, that's the Admiral trying to find like a middle ground, trying to deal with like his perception and what the Vulcans were doing.
They just
Again,
don't want to
trying to be the
seem
great
like
compromiser, I guess.
they're hypocrites, though. They were angry about it. They started a fight over it. Now they're trying to seem like they're neutral parties. They already expressed an opinion about it, though.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous because they want to seem like they're neutral, but they have an opinion, and they'll do whatever it takes to get people to listen and to respect their opinion as being the only logical opinion out there. But, you know, the funny thing, the most interesting thing is not that, but the Vulcan ship, Nivar. Where else have we heard the name Nivar?
Season 4 of Discovery.
It's interesting, isn't it? It is a Vulcan ship, but someday it will be a place where Romulans and Vulcans live together in unity.
Oh, and like I said before, the only way I could watch Discovery is thinking it's an alternate universe, has nothing to do with Roddenberry. These are weird CBS executives who came out with this mutated inbred creature of a series.
Yes. But it is ending soon, within the next year, so we should mourn that.
5th and final season, I heard.
Yes, and it's like, even then, like, humans still were not being respectful. That's why Nivar distanced itself from the Federation, and the Discovery had to fight to bring it back. Like when the Discovery arrived in the future, I believe there were only 6 worlds left in the Federation.
Yes, like they'll fall the Federation, have the search for the remnants and try to rebuild it.
And this was a warning sign, like right here, this could have been a warning sign if people would have seen, paid attention, like humans' arrogance, blaming the Vulcans, blaming everybody else for their own arrogance, saying, oh, this is everybody's fault but our own. What they didn't think about, how could we do things better? How could we react better to situations? How could we look at these things that have happened and try to take responsibility and try to do things better so things don't turn out the same way the next time we face a situation like this? It's all about the competing ideas of liberty and learning how to use our resources more wisely. Like the Federation, even the pre-Federation, like Starfleet has a lot of resources and ideas, and yet when something goes wrong, they blame everybody else.
Oh, typical people, you know?
Like when something goes wrong, we have to look at ourselves. People have to look at ourselves. And what responsibility do we bear?
Who wants that job? Nobody.
I know, but how do we get anywhere in life by blaming other people for something that goes wrong in our lives? And we should look at ourselves and say, how could we make things better for ourselves? How can we take better responsibility?
Hmm.
And it's like perhaps, and if we communicate better with others, if we listen better to others when they try to tell us things, perhaps we won't have the chaos that comes with, like the chaos that came when the two rescue parties didn't listen to one another, because somebody could have been killed.
Hey, somebody almost got killed.
Yes, T'Pol got shot because she was trying to
Pushed Archer out the way.
she was trying to protect both of her worlds. And it's like communication can create chaos from happening. Listening can create chaos from happening. And, you know, there's always room for apologies when we don't listen or communicate well enough to keep chaos from happening. But
it's owning up to the chaos.
Yeah, not everybody listens to apologies.
Yeah. Oh my God. Got enough bags to carry $100 worth of groceries.
Yeah, so
sorry, I'm off topic. What we're talking about. How the lack of knowledge can lead to unforeseen situations.
But do you know how we get knowledge? We listen to each other and we take in our environment. We study our environment. When something goes wrong, we assess the situation. We don't just rush in. We communicate with each other and we remember that we're not alone, and we have people and resources around us that can help us to be able to do whatever we can to make the best of things and to find whatever solution can make everybody happy. We may not be able to make every single person happy, but we can more than likely come to a solution that will make a reasonable amount of people happy.
Okay.
We can't just say, oh, this is the solution and everybody has to listen. Discussion is always on the table. Compromise is always on the table. We can't just throw in our idea and say everybody has to listen to it. I mean, everything goes wrong if we just dominate everything and everybody, right?
Okay.
I know that sounds weird, right?
Not really, no.
But, you know, and we have to be unafraid to fight for one another and advocate for one another and everybody's ideas, because everybody's voice matters. I mean, everybody is valuable and everybody's voice is valuable, and everybody, even if we don't feel our voice matters or our ideas matter, we may have something valuable to contribute and we may not know it until somebody tells us. So when somebody tells us we are valuable, we need to listen, or we need to tell somebody that what they have to contribute is valuable. We never need to go even one moment or one day without telling ourselves that we are loved and valuable, or telling somebody else their ideas and they themselves are loved and valuable.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's, are you getting tired? You seem tired. You're very quiet.
Well, well, I don't look as animated. I know right now, I know with this lighting, I look like The Walking Dead.
I'll take that as a yes.
No, really, I look like Michael Jackson on Halloween.
I'll take that as a yes, but it's been a really nice time spending
I
time
know
with
you're
you.
looking forward to editing this.
It's been a really nice time spending time with you, and I'm glad we could come together for our common goal and just remember that you're valuable, and that, you know, we should all remember that we are valuable and that our voices matter, and, you know, our futures are written and we have the power of possibility.
And don't go into a situation without knowing the whole story. Again, tying in
And
with
don't
tonight's theme.
don't make unreasonable judgments against each other or even yourself without a fuller glimpse of the picture. We don't always have the full picture when we look at somebody or go into a situation, so we need to think and pause. And, you know, that's the art of storytelling. We don't always have every answer to every question, so we need to find it. Like, I'm a family history research student, and we're not always given all the answers to all the questions. We're given
Right.
a bit of known information, and we have to find out what's the problem, what's the question we need to focus on answering, and then we need to find out how to answer the question, and we need to find out the information that we have and what we need. What do we need from ourselves? What do we need from each other? What's the problems within ourselves that we need to solve, and how can we solve those problems and allow ourselves? How can we allow ourselves to become more productive members of society? And how can we allow ourselves to be the type of people that others will want to be around, because everybody's so focused on making unreasonable judgments about themselves and each other's that they don't focus on solutions. If we focus too much on problems, if we focus too much on problems, we're never going to find the solutions. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but anything worth doing, anything worth saving, anyone worth loving and saving is worth the hard work.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Alrighty, I'm gonna let you go.
Have a good night. Well, this is interesting.
It is interesting.
And that who knows, maybe next time we can have an audience, like back in the pre-COVID times.
I think a lot of unreasonable judgments and a lack of communication and a lack of listening led to that.
I thought we were not going to get into that. You already chastised me once for doing that.
No, I'm chastising myself. I deserve it.
Okay.
But you know what? Hopefully someday there's some forgiveness and that will be given to me, and people will come back.
Okay.
Anyway, live long and prosper.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you all for attending this meeting. Live long and prosper.